vampires, the ginger gene is a curse. In conclusion, I will leave you with this. If you think that the ginger problem is not a serious one, think again.
Yo, what's happening, folks? First and foremost, I want to welcome you to this video. This is the start of a series I'm going to do on the Six Nations, whereby I will have a little bit of video game footage in the background because I can't get highlight footage, and then I will give my opinions and on the match that has just literally finished. So today is Wales and Ireland, which was played in Dublin at the Davies Stadium, and I know I'm probably going to get an awful lot of dissenting voices in the comments and stuff for this, but to be honest, Wales won 23-21, but to be honest, I think it was more a case of Ireland losing 21-23 than Wales winning. I mean, Ireland had a fundamental problem whenever they played Wales at the World Cup in September and October, and that was when we got the ball to the breakdown. We weren't putting enough people in there, we weren't committing the numbers, and we were losing the ball too often. And in the first half today, we did exactly the same. There was so many times that we were so flat. You know, there was no real urgency or pressure being put on. And I mean, there was a couple of instances, right? You had Rob Kearney chasing a long kick and fucking fielding it over the top of the Welsh guy. I mean, catching the ball, going over the Welsh guy's back, landing on his own back, flipping onto his feet, and still making ground. I mean, when I played Gaelic football, I played soccer, and I played rugby, and when somebody on your team did that, or when you did that, it lifts everybody and it makes everybody play better for a few minutes. But it didn't lift Ireland today when we did that. Then later on, Paul O'Connell won a line-out against, well, it's can you really call it against the head? I know it's against the head in the scrum, but he won a Welsh line-out, and that should have lifted everybody as well, because he went up and he beat the Welsh guy and he fucking claimed that ball and took it down and let it off and put us on a platform to attack, but we gave it away within 15-20 seconds. And again, later in the half, O'Brien made a, was it O'Brien? I think it was O'Brien, made a great burst from inside our own 22 and got almost to the halfway line, you know, after a few passes and stuff, but we gave the ball away again. You know, there was no... When individuals were trying to lift that team, we weren't letting them. The rest of the team weren't responding, and that is the big problem. I mean, we still went in 5-3 up at half time, but if we had have lifted, you know, if each of those individual instances had have lifted the Irish team, we could have been 20 points to 5 up at half time. You know, if we had have put on the right pressure at the right time. But we still weren't committing enough people to the breakdowns, and we weren't getting there when we needed to be. We weren't supporting them on the ball enough. More in the first half than in the second half. In the second half, and towards the end of the first half, we suddenly started to play a brand of rugby that Ireland haven't played in my time watching rugby anyway. When I first started watching, Ireland played a kicking game, a territorial game based off Ronan O'Gara, because Ronan O'Gara is fucking possibly one of the best kickers in world rugby, but he's not great in the loose. You know, his passing and his tackling and stuff like that isn't great, but his kicking is virtually second to none. He's easily top 3 in the world. You know, and that was what we did. We used to kick for territory, and then we would contest the lineouts and win the lineouts quite a lot, and then we were putting them under pressure in their own areas. Then in the last few years, with the emergence of Ferris and O'Brien and Heaslip and you know, guys like that, our rugby game developed to become more about, you know, hunting to the flankers, the inside and the outside flanker, and letting them burst through the tackles and then hit the ground and then reset and do it again and just keep trundling your way down. What I would call it would be like bulldozer or sledgehammer rugby. We just keep battering through the middle, you know. But today our success came from spreading the ball quickly. Quick hands, quick passes out to the wings. Tommy Bowe and Andrew Trimble, that's the guy. I thought were magnificent when they got the ball to hand. I mean, they were fantastic. They were able to beat their men. They were able to make ground. And bear in mind, we hadn't got Brian O'Driscoll, who was out for the entire competition, the entire tournament, with the shoulder injury and the surgery that he had before Christmas. And then Keith Earls, who would have been his natural replacement coming in from the wing, to play in the centre, he withdrew for family reasons apparently, from what I hear. So, you know, we had Fergus McFadden coming into play there, and I mean, he plays for Leinster in the centre, but you didn't look at him and think that there was the same ingenuity as O'Driscoll, because let's be honest, Brian O'Driscoll is a one-off. We're not going to see the likes of him again in an Irish jersey, probably ever. And then, you know, Earls will be his natural successor, but he will never be to the same standard. He will be a different kind of centre. But, you know, whatever. The second half came about, and we, as I say, I truly think that it was more a case of us losing the match than it was Wales winning it, because we made mistakes. We missed a couple of conversions and penalties and stuff like that, and as well as that, we made silly mistakes. I mean, Tommy Bowe just not watching the ball properly and giving away the line out, which Wales then got their second try from. And then whenever we, you know, Wales were 21-20 up with 60 seconds of the game to go, and instead of possibly trying to retain possession from the kick-off, we kicked it long to try and pen them back. But then we didn't pen them back. We didn't make the tackles. We didn't put the pressure on to keep them back. We just let them run out. And I mean, when Wales got the chance to attack, they attacked well. But there was no real imagination or flair. They were just sort of, they were able to break our tackles. Because, I mean, the Welsh back row and second row are huge. I mean, they're absolute fucking monsters of men. I don't know what, the growth hormones or some shit. Those guys are huge. But, you know, we had guys that should have been able to stop them and they didn't. You know, but it's just kind of the way it goes. I mean, we got undone right at the end with a penalty, and the instance, 15 minutes, 12, but somewhere around about 15 minutes from the end, a Welsh guy took exception to being tackled by an Irish sub that had come on, Donnacha Ryan, and what he did was what's called a spear tackle, which is what he lifted him by the waist, tipped him upside down, and drilled him into the ground head first. Now, Donnacha Ryan was able to sort of curl his head, so he took most of the pressure on the back of his neck and his shoulders, which a rugby guy, the size of the shoulders on them, it takes the impact pretty well. But at the same time, that is fucking thuggish. That is putting a player's life in danger, because if he comes down wrong on the point of his head, it'll break his neck and he'll be dead before you fucking let go of him. The same thing happened to Brian O'Driscoll years ago, and there was a massive outcry. Now this guy, the referee didn't see it, but the linesman called attention to it, and the linesman suggested a yellow card, which is a 10-minute sin bin and offence. That was no more a fucking yellow card. That should have been a straight red. And in my mind, regardless, anybody that commits a tackle like that should be banned for life, because, you know, it's fucking horrendous. It's like a fucking WWE wrestling move, you know, and it's not on. It's not called for in any game of rugby. And then we give away a penalty with 15 seconds to go in the match to lose the match, and we were given a yellow card in the sin bin, our guy Ferris, because the referee equated the two tackles as being the same. Now Ferris had the guy by one leg and upended him. Now, it was so close to being a 50-50 as to whether that's a good challenge or an illegal challenge, but it was in no way could you equate it to, you know, the previous one, and yet the punishment was the exact same. Wales gave away a penalty which we scored, and, you know, Ireland gave away a penalty which Wales scored and won them the match. There is no comparison between the two challenges. Now, in saying this, I do not think Ireland actually deserved to win because of what I said before: the lack of passion, the lack of coherency, the lack of fucking an idea about actually putting people in at the breakdown. You know, we weren't doing what we needed to do to beat Wales. Wales are a very good team and will be incredibly difficult to beat at any time, as we have found out now the last twice that we played them. And apparently since Declan Kidney took over as Ireland manager, he has played against Wales 6 times and he has lost 4 of them. So there seems to be a fundamental lack of understanding about how to beat Wales within the Irish camp. But, you know, I gotta say, Wales deserved to win more than we did, because we just weren't good enough to beat them, I don't think. But at the same time, we probably should have won if we had have just been a little bit more clever about the whole thing. But anyway, let me know what you guys think, and if you're here simply to see highlights, then I apologize, because this is not what I do. I'm a video game commentator. I play video games and I commentate over them, and I am sure I will probably get many comments calling me faggot for commentating over a video game. But hey, that's life. Listen, folks, enjoy yourselves. Have a good weekend. Peace, love, and puppies.
If you smell what the Mac is cooking.